Well, probably the biggest thing that happened to me in my work life is that 3.5 years ago, my business partner lost his son. Really suddenly, it was over a weekend. It came out of nowhere, and it threw me into a bit of turmoil. But as a business partner and a friend, I felt that I had to really support him in what was happening with him. So I basically pulled all the people in our office together and said, look, with what's happened, we have to imagine that Roger isn't going to come back into the office ever, and we have to deal with that and make our business work, because by making the business work, we're supporting Roger. And that worked fine for 18 months. There was a lot of pressure. I made decisions to keep myself physically fit, keep working on myself on a spiritual level, and sort of drip feed everything in my life. Luckily, I wasn't in a relationship or anything at that time, so it made it a little bit easier. And the relationship I was having was probably with my business, so it made it a lot easier to sort of get through things. But about 18 months into it, I lost my father, so that sort of threw me into a bit of turmoil, a lot of sadness and stuff. And with Roger being in the position that he was in, he wasn't able to support me through what I was going through. So I basically hunkered down, and I basically went to war. I hunkered down and just worked through the whole time that I was dealing with my dad passing away, organising a funeral. I didn't take any time off. And I basically shut down emotionally. I didn't realise that for another year that I'd done that, until I went to a workshop that I'd done just before Roger had lost his son. And knowing what that workshop brought out of me and then doing it again, I found that I'd actually really shut down. I didn't feel anything emotionally. I was dead inside, would be probably the best way to say it. And it's weird how things sort of come together. Before I had the realization of that, one of the guys I work with handed me a book called Manhood by Steve Biddulph, about relationships with fathers and all that sort of stuff. And I sort of did this workshop, and strangely enough, we had organised a family trip back to Italy for a family wedding. So I brought the book with me. I ended up reading it a couple of times and going to where my dad was born and all that sort of stuff. And I felt this real connection to the loss of my father. And it brought up a lot of emotions in me and lots of sadness. One of the things I decided was, when I get back from overseas, that I would get in touch with someone about Mankind Project. And I got back, and being away for 6 weeks, I just got slammed with work. But weirdly enough, 3 days after getting back, I got a phone call out of the blue from my friend going, I have this feeling that you should be doing MKP. And I said, look, I've been meaning to give you a call. I haven't been able to. I've been overseas. I've gone through this stuff with my dad, and I feel a calling to it. So I ended up doing MKP November last year, and it was fantastic. It was an organisation for men, by men, to support men with whatever you're going through. I did the workshop with them, and since then I've done 2 10-week programs with them, once a week, just getting together, learning how to create an I group, which is just a group of guys that get together each week, talk about stuff, process through things that they're dealing with. I found the first big breakthrough that I had with them was with regards to my business partner. In the last year, I started feeling all this sort of resentment towards him because I wasn't getting support from him. I was carrying the business, and it was actually really bringing me down. And but associated with that was a lot of guilt about feeling this way, going, oh, he's lost his son and all this sort of stuff. So I was feeling a tremendous amount of guilt. And through MKP, a lot of that emotion was brought up. And then finally, I actually sat down with Roger and spoke it out with him. And a lot of the stuff that I've learned with MKP is expressing your feelings, being true to your words, and sitting down. And I think if I hadn't gotten to that point and had the same conversation with Roger without all the lead in that I had with MKP, I don't think it would have been as good, because I was able to speak my truth with him, and I was able to let go of a lot of anger. It was like a weight being taken off my shoulders. It took me a long time to say the words, but once said the words of how I was feeling, and that it had nothing to do with him, but I had to do this process, that it was just an amazing sense of relief. And now I'm dealing with other issues, and now I'm in a relationship with a fantastic woman, and I'm now dealing with my fear of commitment. So it has been an amazing group of guys. It's a fantastic thing to have the support of men in different ways. Like, people have gone through similar things. Like, I strangely have a lot of girls who are friends of mine, but they just don't quite understand it from my perspective. So having a group of guys supporting me with the emotions and things that I'm going through is the best thing that I've had, and it's made my life easier.